Fazendeville was almost a self-sustaining community. It had its own little grocery stores. You had bars, a number of them. And in addition to that, you had recreation.
The National Cemetery was to your left. It was behind us. And the monument was in front of us. But we were in the middle.
They wanted it to kind of bring back some of the pomp and circumstance that used to be around celebrating the Battle of New Orleans.
They wanted to make way to open up that whole area, the Chalmette battlefield, and that's what they did.
I think that Fazendeville was just something that some people just didn't want to see there.
He had just built that house, and he said, I'm not leaving my house.
People were actually crying in church because they knew that they were going to have to pick up and go someplace else. There was nothing that they could do.
You know, I could never figure out what was the reason for wanting to make people move away from there, you know? It's kind of hard to buck the government, you know. They say go, you gotta go.
I've always been referred to as the Second Battle of New Orleans. You know, these people lost their battle, you know, on that same field.
It needs to be told. The story needs to be told.
I was 5 when Fazendeville was no more. I didn't really realize what had happened or why. I just knew that it wasn't there anymore. I know we had folks in my neighborhood who had moved from Fazendeville. Also, my babysitter was from Fazendeville. We called her Aunt Julia. We always had a feeling that we were somehow connected to the village, but we didn't know the connection until other folks started doing research on the community.
And she actually signs there.
And this is at St. Louis Cathedral?
St. Louis Cathedral.
Baptism? And identified my great-great-grandfather as the founder. The community is so much more important than all of that. What they did and what they became far supersedes any importance of my relatives' part in the history of the village.
Woody Keim came to me, and it was important to him to tell the story of the residents there. We were coming up on an anniversary of the founding of Fazendeville. The Park Service wanted to commemorate this in some way. And their idea was they were going to have a series of facilitated talks where they were going to bring former residents in and, you know, people who had an interest in the story of Fazendeville. And then, you know, I asked, a question, simple question. Does anybody have any pictures of this? Now, of course, the residents, they had gone through Hurricane Betsy. That wiped out a lot of photos. And then, you know, years later, there was Hurricane Katrina. Wiped out those pictures, you know, that might have been left. We leave the meeting and we don't, you know, really have a line on do we have pictures or not. So 6 months later, I'm sitting in my office and the receptionist comes in and she says, someone just dropped off this disc. It's a disc that has, you know, written on it, Fazendeville pics. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And all of a sudden, the village just comes to life. Here's a chance for us to tell it from their words and really to tell the complete story as best we can.